Hello and welcome back to SamiVReads. My last video I did like on the ground by my couch, and I really liked the layout, so I'll probably sit between there and my desk, between the two, for how I feel, like where I feel like sitting for the day, to be honest. This video is going to be an Audible Reads thus far. I have an Audible account. I've had an Audible account for some time now, probably about 6 months. Might be actually 6 months. Since the beginning, at least the summer, springtime, I had an Audible account. I love my Audible account, and I'm going to be going through, I have about 7 books I've read this summer through Audible, listen to this summer. So I'm going to be going through and giving my ratings on those and what I thought about the voice actors. Ooh, very booby. What I thought about the voice actors and what I thought about the books, my reviews, and all that fun jazz, and some facts and blabbering as I normally do. This week has been so crazy for me. I'm starting a new work week, but last work week was incredibly busy. I did half of it to myself. So this month of the year is our owner appreciation week. I work in property management, if you don't know, for luxury brands. So it's a very niche market of high paying clients that I work with. But this last week we appreciate them. So we do tons of events. I had like gelato come in. We had cupcakes, all kinds of things. Anyways, it was long hours. I was working morning and evening events, and then I was approached for another job with a different, smaller company, and I was interviewing for that last week. So I would like do a morning event, I would go to the interviews, and I do a PM event. But anyways, I got the job. I handed in my resignation on Friday, which is incredibly hard to do. I've been with the company I'm with now for 6 years almost, and I have grown so much there, so it was a really hard thing to do. You don't hear me laugh on about my sob story, so I'm just going to start with Audible books. That's just a little sneak preview into my life, maybe why I wasn't so big on Bookstagram. Be sure to follow me on Bookstagram. I'm now creating reels, which is really hard for me to do because I'm a perfectionist, so I'll take the reel 1,000 times, even though I'm doing the most basic of reels right now. I'm not doing hard ones, but they're a lot of fun to do, so please give me a like and a follow for some of my new reels. I'll leave my stuff down below so you guys can follow me. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. I'm getting a lot more views, so if you're enjoying my content, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. Sorry, my display fell over. I'm still getting the hang of all of this. Setup. Also, I got a really mean comment on my reel that I just posted, and like, I know it's a troll, but it was just rude. I deleted it right away. I saw that while I was filming this, so now I'm annoyed by it. But like, someone that has no pictures and no followers and all that, don't really care what they have to say, but it's just annoying. I only want it to go to book community people. I wish you could like almost like stop reels from going out to other people, you know, like just like Bookstagram people that get the joke, aren't gonna make a mean comment. Like, just, that's all I want. Anyways, the book that got me into reading on Audible, like got me into Audible, my free book that you get with your free trial, was The House of Blood and Earth, which is the Crescent Moon book #1 by Sarah J. Maas, and I gave it 5 stars. This book is a beast to be reading on Audible. I think it's like 24 hours. It's insane. It took me a good chunk of time to do it, but in the beginning of spring, I'm Canadian. I do a Canadian winter, so in springtime, normally I typically walk a lot because I can leave my apartment. It's not icy, it's not snowing. I live right by some trails in the Greater Toronto area, so there's a lot of trails by me. So I go on walks a lot, and that helps me listen because I have to be listening to something when I walk. So I did a lot of that in the springtime. I loved the voice actor. Is that what they're called? I love the voice actor. She is very, pronunciation was great. I found with Sarah J. Maas, there's a lot of weird names in there, so it was nice to hear pronounce correctly. Not what I think I'm reading when I read her books, but how she actually pronounces it. So I really enjoyed that. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. That last quarter ending, I forced my parents' dog. I went up, they live in the middle of nowhere, and I visited them. But I can't sit and listen to Audible and do nothing. So I forced my parents' dog on the longest walk to finish that last hour, 2 hours of the book, because it was just insane. I am so excited to read the second book in the series, which is not coming out till February, which is really annoying because I loved it. I liked it more than A Court of, which I know people love A Court of. I know they live and die for A Court of. I just rather this book over it. I loved Hunt. I loved everything about this. I love the friendship trades in this. I know it's in other books. I'm going to be reading her A Throne Of. I have the first book of the Throne of Glass series, and I'm really excited for that. But I'll be reading that and I'll listen to it on Audible. The second Audible book that I listened to is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Deborah Harkness. I give it a 4 out of 5 star. I loved the first Discovery of Witches. I thought it was very good. I thought it was clever. It was a very slow burn romance. I was into fantasy reading at that time. I was highly reading a lot of fantasy world building. I thought Discovery of Witches was a perfect adaptation on the take of witches. I loved the little bit of romance. Well, I know it's centered around romance, but I like that it was a slow burn. I like that it solely focused. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can hear that, but my neighbors are being really obnoxious as always. I live in a really old building. I don't want to move because I'm saving for a house, and they're super annoying. They never leave. And I know if you have headphones and you're picking up on that, and I am so sorry. Continuing on Discovery of Witches, I thought it was a very good series. The person voicing the actors, it was just one solo female. I loved her. I thought she was good. I am struggling to get through the second book. I also got the second book on Audible because I liked the first book, and I still have about 9 hours left. And I've had it probably for all of this summer, and I'm just, it's not flying by it as well as I was the first book. And I don't know if it's because I don't want fantasy anymore. I went through a big fantasy pull, and I'm just I have other things I want to read over fantasy. I might get back into it. It's not a poorly written book. It's not interesting. It's just not for me right now, and I'm really struggling to get through it. Next is a suggestion from Peace Love Books. I love her channel. She was the first one that I kind of discovered on BookTube, and I really like her a lot, but it's Never Seduced Scott by Maya Banks. So it was my first historical romance I got into. It's about a young girl. She's deaf. She can't hear, and people think she's deaf from that on the time. It's an arranged marriage to join 2 clans together. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's a shorter read. It's only 8 hours, so I was reading beasts of books before then. It was such a nice change. The author, the girl who voices, and this is lovely. She did not annoy me. I found her easy to follow. It was a 5 out of star read for me. The next is Taken and Torn by Natasha Knight. This is an interesting concept. So it's about the Willow girls. They call them from the Willow family. There's every generation has 4 Willow girls, and they get picked by Swarovski men. The oldest man gets them for a year. The middle, each of the 3 boys get them for 1 year, and they kind of use and abuse these women. And it's actually a really sad story, but it's one of the Willow girls, her story with these men. Taken, I loved. I was driving up to Ottawa from Toronto area, so it's a good 5-hour drive, and I demolished that book on my drive, and I got the second book, Torn. I didn't love it as much as the first, so the first book I gave 4 out of 5, and the second book I gave 3 out of 5. Now, I would have given it 5 out of 5. The only thing was I didn't like the male vocalist, the male performer who did the male parts. I'd rather it be female. I know why we do that. It's just not my vibe. I found him kind of awkward in certain moments, especially in the second book. And I felt like the second book kind of dragged on, and I wasn't as enthralled with it as I was the first one. Credence by Penelope Douglas. I love this book, and that is so shocking for me because this is an age gap, which is something I normally don't gravitate towards. I don't relate to them. I don't like them. I find them not as good, well done. But for Credence, I loved it. It's about a girl whose parents die, and she gets shipped away to her uncle, who becomes her sole giver till she turns 18, which happens very soon in the book. There's no like illegal activity. So she's turning 18, and she spends the winter in the mountains with them because they're kind of cut off from civilization for the winter months. So you see her go through the summer and then the winter with them in the spring. And it's a reverse harem. I love reverse harems if done right, and this one was done so well. I gave it 4 out of 5 star. The reason I didn't give it 5 star is she only ends up with one of the guys in the end, and I didn't really understand how the other ones can just like turn off their feelings and it's like, oh, we're all a family now kind of thing. It didn't make sense ending wise to me, but the person she ended up with I loved so much. I'm so glad she ended up with him. I love the whole story. All the different subplots in it. It made you really think and feel bad for the characters. Also, I would love to live in the mountains for 3 months and not have someone bug me and live with a bunch of hot men. That's just my personal preference, but... Next is The Chase by Elle Kennedy. It is the first in the Briar U series. I loved this book. Our hero is a gamer who is into hockey, maybe not as much as the other guys that you saw in the off-campus series. He's still a hockey player, he's still good. He's friends with her brother, the heroine's brother. The heroine, I loved her so much. She might be my favorite girl so far in the series because not that I relate to her. I'm not rich and super skinny, super pretty, but she has a learning disability, which I felt when she was talking and how she's learning differently. People think that she's an airhead, and I really enjoyed her story and her coming into her own and her realizing that she's not stupid, that she just learns differently and becoming... she chased that guy for most of the book, not reverse. She definitely was a leading factor. Now, for the first time, this was one that was had 2 voiceovers, a male and a female, and I didn't hate the male voice. So I feel, at first I was like, maybe it's just males I don't like talking in books. Maybe it's just like male authors. I don't want to hear them read a romance book back to me. But I really enjoyed the male in this one, and I like his voice. And it did make me cringe at like sexual moments in there. It was overall 5 out of 5 star read. I loved it. I don't know if this is new, but Audible has some free reads. I think this is somewhat new, I want to say. But they have free reads. So they had the Dragon's Lair, motorcycle. It's a motorcycle book. I will link them down below the series. But it's a reread for me. And they're the first 3 books, which are my favorite. The first 3 books, which are my personal favorite, are for free on Audible. So I re-listened to Dragon's Lair, so I read the books multiple times. I was planning on doing a series review on this channel of all the books in the series. This really helps because I can listen to them on Audible. I loved it. It was, again, a male and a female narrator. They were good, didn't get annoyed by them. I gave it 4 out of 5 star because I think this whole series is a solid 4 out of 5 star for every book. They're not quite like mind-blowing, like, oh my gosh. Like, they're not that much. There's drama. They're good. They're going to keep you on your toes. I remembered them. I like reading them. They're a comfort read for me. But they're not like anything you've never seen before. So I gave them 4 out of 5 star. I am also currently listening to It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. So that's the one I'm listening to right now. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I loved it. Again, it's male-female vocals. I don't hate either of them. I think they're very well done. I think Tessa Bailey is this is my first Tessa Bailey. This is my first Tessa Bailey book. I'm really excited to read her. I think she's I've heard a lot of good things about her rom-coms, and I really do like this one. So I have high hopes for it. I've heard the first half of the book is really good, or first 75% is really good, but this last 25% is where it kind of drags on. I'm not there yet, so we'll see very soon if that is the case. I hope not, but you never know. This is all my Audible reads I've read since getting Audible. I really do enjoy Audible. It is kind of pricey. It's $34 if you want to buy extra credits for books. I play right now, I don't know if I'm on a special deal for 6 months, but I pay about $14 Canadian a month for a book, which is pretty good, I think, for an Audible book. Like an audiobook, not Audible book, an audiobook. I enjoyed everything I've read. I have a wish list. I try not to waste it on like stuff I can get on Kindle Reads. I try to be very selective of what I get. And now that I see free books, I'm going to be digging my little like nose into those, and maybe I'll do a series of like free books on Audible specifically. Please like and comment down below. Give me some suggestions, some book reads. I'll be doing a Rockstar Romance very soon. I'm working on that right now. I have a lot of stuff to do in the month of October. I start a new job October 4th, and I also go to Vegas October 13th. So it's a very busy month. I hope to get a lot of reading done on the plane. Videotaping, I'm not too sure how good I'll be. I'm trying to be better at uploading at least one video a week, hopefully 2 in an ideal world. But I want to do some reading blogs now that I know how to properly record and I won't waste a week worth of footage. I think I'm ready to put my cap back in the race for that one and get some more content and hopefully stuff that you guys enjoy. If you like any of the books that I've suggested, please comment, message me on Instagram. I would love to talk about them, especially Credence. I have a lot of people, I want more people to read Credence that I talk to, so I can talk to you about it because I have a lot of thoughts. It's a very controversial book. But thank you so much for listening to me thus far, and I appreciate it. Have a great week. Have a great start to fall season. I have all my candles up, and I will see you next time.